Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts, episode 44. Today is the 2nd of September, and we got the full crew in effect. So this time I'm going to go down and make this less weird. Eventually we're going to get this down here, but I'll just go down and actually say everyone's name and then they say stuff. So how's it going, Chris?
Hello, how you
Hey,
doing?
Hey guys, it's good to be here.
how's it going, Marco?
Hey everybody, what's up?
Hey, Bradley, what's up?
Hey, no, I can't do that. That's yours, man. So what's up, Adam?
Not much actually today. Not a lot going on. I trimmed up the beard. It's not as crazy as it was pre Rocky trail running, and then that's about it for today. I don't think we have any big announcements. We got one kind of announcement, at least on my end, is we're opening up slowly. SERP Space is getting started. All right, so we've let in some mastermind members. We've got people actually using the service. And we're going to be moving forward with that and then getting back to everybody on when we're going to be opening that up publicly.
That's right, an NVIDIA powerhouse in about 2 weeks, roughly.
Yep.
We're going to open that on a limited opening, so mastermind members get first crack at that. But if we don't fill all the spots, then we're going to, open it up to you guys as subscribers too. So.
And almost forgot. We're going to send out an email if you're on the link building waiting list. We've been obviously catching up and working on that, and so I'll be sending something out, but we will be opening that back up in looks like in the month of September, so you'll be hearing from us.
Yeah. What, the link building service, that too?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right.
So actually, I'll put the link on here too if you want to get on the sign up list. If you want to get your name down, I'll put that on the event page so you can sign up.
And also remind everybody that, or for those of you that don't know, all of that is going to be handled now within the SERP Space dashboard. So there's going to be one user interface instead of having all these different sales pages and all this stuff that you guys got to bookmark and things like that. It'll all be available inside the SERP Space dashboard, and you can register an account for free, correct?
Correct.
SERP Space dashboard, yeah. So.
And if you do go over there, if you go over to serpspace.com, go over there, register an account, check it out. That costs nothing. It's not, there's no share to unlock or anything like that. It's just register an account. If it looks like some stuff you're going to use, if you have IFTTT networks, obviously this is for you. It's going to be something that you can check out. And then, as Bradley was saying, Video Powerhouse. There's going to be a lot going
on. You can order networks from there. Order additional link building services. Citations is coming soon. Press releases is coming soon. So it's going to be essentially an SEO marketplace and dashboard and network management tool. All of that, all in one location. So we're continuing to develop that, but we've got a lot of stuff already. You'll be able to buy PBN domains there that have already been vetted. No spammy domains. TrustFlow plus 10. Domain authority plus 10. Clean link profiles, all of that right within the dashboard. So again, it's free to register, guys. Just go check it out, serpspace.com. That's SERP space.com. And then as we continue to unlock the new features, as we can finish the development on them, you guys will have first shot at it. So okay. So with that said, I guess we can get into questions. I think we had a bunch already, so I'm going to grab the screen and we'll start at the bottom as usual. You guys seeing everything all right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Clint says, SERP Space is killer. Looking forward to what grows in it. That's good. Clint is a mastermind member, so he's already got access to it. Kendrick says, I'd love some clarification. Let me open that up. When, how to use either or a client's branded network versus an industry niche network. I've been going through a bunch of Hump Day Hangout replays, tons of great info in there, but so much to go through, I'm still not 100% clear. Using Bradley's setup as an example, let's say he got a new client, Joe's Plumbing in Richmond, with virtually no online presence yet. So as a new site is built, Bradley says he sets up a new network for each property. So he'd set up a new Joe's Plumbing network, ideally with at least 3 Tier 2 networks too. That's not necessarily the case. It depends. Is it for a website that you're trying to syndicate content or a YouTube channel? So if it's a website, I typically only use one Tier 1 network. That's the branded network, and that's it. Okay. If it's for a YouTube channel, then yeah, I set up 2-tier networks, and I'll set up at least one full 2-tier network, which consists of a Tier 1 network and 3 Tier 2 networks. So it comes out to be 4 rings. Okay. He says, however, Bradley has a contractor niche network that is well established in the broader niche, thereby more powerful. What network is used to syndicate new content? Both? All right, so it depends. Once again, it depends completely on whether you're using, if your goal is to syndicate YouTube videos or blog posts, okay? Because if you're syndicating YouTube videos, then I recommend that you build your own network that you can build up. You can make it big and massive because you don't have to worry about footprints. You can juice them. And you can make them as big as you want, and that way you control it. Even if you're doing client videos for clients, you can still upload them to your channel and across your own network, which gives you complete control over it. Okay? If you're doing blog syndication and it's for a client, then I typically sell the client on purchasing a Tier 1 branded network, and I'll sell them for $797 for a Tier 1 only network, and it costs me, roughly $50 to have my team build it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hell of a big profit center. And then I connect their blog to it, and then I upsell. Well, generally I tell them, look, you can, publish your own blog post, or you can hire me and my team, and we'll do the content for you. And which is typically what happens. Even the ones that have the best intent to do it themselves decide very quickly that they don't want to do it anymore, and they end up hiring me to do their content marketing, right? And then we publish the blog posts as well, curated content that my VAs do, and then it just syndicates automatically to their branded network. So it really depends on what it is that you're doing. If you're doing client work and you're doing it blog syndication, then just one Tier 1 network, and you're going to brand it after the client, after the client's brand. So it's going to be the client's company name, their logo, social media graphics that you would probably have created for them, that sort of thing. If you're doing video syndication, I recommend you do it on your own networks because you can make them as big and as elaborate as you want and really make them powerful, and that gives you complete control over that video once it's published. If that makes sense. So, for example, if by the way, if you're doing client videos, guys, make the client's video for whatever you sell them, or if they have their own videos. That's typically what I do, is clients have their own videos already, and I just come in and rank them on my own network. But regardless of whether the client has a video already and you're going to rank it for them on your network, or if you're selling a client, selling the production of a video to a client, give them that video file. They can put it up on their own channel. They can put it up on their website, embed it on the home page or wherever the hell they want to. That's their video. Once it's done, it's done. That's theirs. But you still upload that video to your channel and your networks. That way you have control over it, and if the client decides they don't want to pay you anymore, you just go unlist the video. You don't delete it, because then all of that juice flowing into that video from your networks, because it will have syndicated, propagated out, cascaded out across your networks. You don't want to delete it because that'll just cut all that juice off. Instead, you just unlist it, so it falls out of the index, but yet it will still funnel the juice back into your channel. If that makes sense. Okay? So again, Kendrick, it's completely up to, it depends. What is your goal? Who is the content for? Is it for a client? Is it for you? Is it for lead gen? Is it blog syndication? Is it YouTube syndication? I mean, there's a lot of variables there, man. So I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. Hopefully it cleared it up at least a little bit. Paul Fussell says, I watched one of your videos about getting clients, and you showed us an agreement or contract you were using. Now, it could have been an agreement or contract I was using, maybe a proposal, but I don't work on contracts, guys. Never have. I work on a month-to-month basis with my clients. I've got clients that I've had for 4 years, and I've never signed a contract with any of them because I work on a month-to-month per performance basis. If I'm doing my job and you're getting leads, then you'll be happy to pay me. If I'm not, then we part and no harm, no foul. So I don't have contracts. It couldn't have been a contract that I showed. It might have been a written proposal because I do that, but it wasn't a contract. Let's see.
Paul, if you're watching this, maybe if you think it was something else, put that in there, and then we'll circle back around as we make it through these.
Yeah, because again, I do proposals, but there's not really a template because it's a customized proposal for each client. Okay. Anyways, Bradley, I've opened 3 or 4 Dipity accounts, and Dipity has changed the page where you can add the links to your other properties. Yeah, Paul, I saw that you posted this question yesterday, so I actually went over to Dipity and took a look, and I logged in with that Robert R. Mills shit. For some reason, it has to be www. They don't have their canonical set up, which is ridiculous.
They don't.
Which is silly. This is a really buggy site, first of all. And by the way, I went in and I did log in with the Robert R. Mills account. I'm not going to log in now. I don't have that worksheet open, so I don't know my password. But you're right. They've changed it around. There is no longer a profile sheet page that you can add all of your other links. Okay. Plus, since the time of the recording for the IFTTT training videos, which I will update it as soon as I get time. It's not a big deal at the moment, other than you just can't add your links, which maybe I'll put a note in the comment section next to the video saying that. And when I get a chance to update the video, I will. I would make this an optional site now, because if you go down to the help file, okay, so go to dipity.com or www.dipity.com and click on the help button here. Here's all the Q&A, guys, direct from their site. And in just about 10 seconds time, I found a couple things that make this, in my opinion, not a site worth using that much anymore, unless you meet certain conditions, okay? Because it's going to require a paid account now to do all the stuff that it used to do for free. All right. So, for example, it says, how often do my RSS feeds update? Well, it only auto updates if you have a paid account. It says it's coming for free accounts, but right now the only way that it updates is if you log into the account and manually press an update button. Well, in my mind, that completely kills the functionality of it, because I want stuff that's automated. I got too many damn networks to be worrying about going in and logging into them and clicking an update button once a week or whatever. You know what I mean? If you're only managing one property or one network or a couple networks, then, you know, I guess that's reasonable that you could do that. But in my mind, go find another property, build another network that's automated, and forget about Dipity. Okay? Because this is saying right here that is until that feature is available for free accounts, that makes it useless. Okay? Another thing is, said something about, let's see, said something about how many posts can I post on my profile. I saw that as one of the other questions. And right now it's maxed out at 150. So once 150 posts go on your timeline, again, I'd have to, let's see how many. It's on here somewhere, guys. I don't know. I can't find it right off the bat. But I was looking at it last night, and it says for the free accounts, the most it will allow is 150 posts, and then you have to upgrade or it just won't display any more posts. And so in my mind, once again, that's kind of worthless, because especially if you were using it the way that we had showed in the training, which was you add all of your RSS feeds to it from all of your Web 2 accounts, right? Because you're going to very quickly hit that 150 limit, and then it's not going to be beneficial anymore, right? Unless you upgrade to a paid account, and I'm not willing to pay for it. There's too many free accounts out there that I can use.
Yeah, and this, sorry, Bradley, but this should be considered a secondary site. You know, having that many high DA sites with lots of interaction. I think this is another property, but we should take it as it is. You know, a secondary property that if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you know, move forward and don't worry about it. That will be my intake on it.
Yeah. So again, I did look at it last night, but all I did was went through some of these questions and found the answers to say, hey, you know what? This is a property that it was in the live stream sites, guys. It was in the live stream academy. So this is another. Remember, FriendFeed. I don't know how long ago you joined, Paul, but FriendFeed used to be one in the live stream academy training, and that FriendFeed went away. FriendFeed got shut down, so it's no longer an account that we use. There's been several of them, but then we add others too when they come up. So, you know, it happens. It's, you know, that's the evolution of the web. So, in my mind, Dipity is not worth spending any time on anymore. Maybe in a few months, whenever they get around to the content will update automatically, it might be worth it then. But if they still have a 150 post limit on the free account, in my mind, it's not worth it. Okay, so I would just skip that, Paul, and go to just create another. You know, if you need to, start creating another IFTTT network that uses the properties that are free that update correctly. Okay. All right. Sue says, I've just purchased the IFTTT SEO course and have watched a few of the setup videos, and I'm slightly confused on some points. Can you help me explain the following to me, please? With the proxy IP addresses. If I set up 10 Web 2.0 properties, do I need 10 proxies? No. You only need one proxy for that. And you don't even need one proxy for that if you're setting them up if you're only setting up one set of accounts at a time, you know, and you're not doing like dozens of accounts all the time, then you don't even need proxies, to be honest with you. It's just if you're doing multiple networks, if you're building multiple networks where this is something that you're going to be doing on a regular basis, then I recommend you get some proxies. Okay, you only need one proxy per set of accounts, and then you can use that same proxy for 2 sets of accounts within a 24-hour period. My rule of thumb is to only create 2 Google accounts per IP or per proxy within a 24-hour period. So if I have 5 proxies, I'll clear my cache and my cookies. I'll use CCleaner, just like the training it shows. Then I'll enable a proxy. I'll set up a Google account, set up all the rest of my accounts. Then I'll shut that down, and then I can open up another or create a second Google account with that same IP within a 24-hour period. Then the following day, I'll clear everything out again, clear cache and cookies, which I do between all accounts anyways, and then I'll set up with proxy number 2. I'll do the same process with proxy number 2. On 3rd day, proxy number 3. When I get to day 6, I'm back to proxy number 1 again. Does that make sense? Right. So you only need to do that one time, and that's only just when you're creating the accounts, because I'll be honest with you, once the accounts are created, I actually, and that's just so it doesn't trigger a bunch of additional verification stuff. Once the accounts are created, I'll log in through my own IP, because that'll give me access to that account without it worrying about triggering a re-verification at a later date.
Right. I just wanted to add to what you said, Bradley, that we had this question, and we probably have it a lot, you know, when people worrying about binding their, you know, if you use that IP, you need to use that IP forever for that account. And that's not always the case, because, you know, IPs will change, and as long as you're accessing from the same location, you know what I mean, like if you get a VPN, for example, they'll give you different IPs from locations, you know, you can get from, you know, the East Coast or California or whatever. So the location would be the thing. So, you know, hell, even my IP changes, you know, they are dynamic IPs. If I reset my router, they will reset. So don't get too complex about this, guys. As long as the location is the same, you can go ahead and change the IPs, and correct, you can keep your IPs clean, you know, and you can tell that when you're getting, you know, those new reCAPTCHA thing is that, you know, that they become increasingly complex as your IP tries to, you know, open many accounts. Then you will see that it's time to change your IP. But until then, you can click on the reCAPTCHA tick button, and it will tick automatically because you have a clean IP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so the other thing is, if you're getting multiple proxies, like, you can actually request from most proxy providers that you get IPs within a certain location. Sometimes it'll cost you more, a little bit more, but it's worth it. Or you can do something like what Hernan said, and that's get a VPN, which is a virtual private network, and you can use those as well. Like, hide my ass, I don't recommend you use that, but you can use other VPN services, and then you can just rotate out proxies within or IPs within the same region or location, essentially, like Hernan said, and that will typically won't trigger. And lastly, a last part of that first question is, just remember that when you don't have to log your IP onto which proxy or which IP you used when you created the account. Just after you created the account, and you're all done, then clear your cache and your cookies, and then log back in through your own IP. And the reason I say that is because you want to be able to access that at a later date without having to use the same IP. Okay, without having to use the same proxy, because most proxy providers are going to refresh the proxies every 30 days anyways, which means they're going to send you a new batch, and then you're not going to have those to use again anyways if they're more than 30 days old. Most proxy providers, some will give you permanent proxies, but even those burn out occasionally, and you have to get them replaced.
Yep.
So the last thing I would suggest is when you verify the account the first time and you phone verify it, keep a record of that phone verification phone number. Even if you don't keep the phone number, which I never do, I just make a note of it on my spreadsheet. It's on the personal info tab on the account workbook template. I put the phone number in there. My team that builds these for me does that now too, because we've had people buy the accounts, buy the networks, and then it triggers a re-verification. And 99% of the time, the only thing that they need is the phone number. Not to actually receive a text, but just to prove that it is them and that they knew the number, if that makes sense. So you make a note of the phone number in your spreadsheet, and you also make sure you set up the recovery email just like we show how to do, and tie in a recovery email to your Google account, because usually all you need is one of those two to be able to reclaim that account. Okay? And again, right after you've actually built the accounts and filled out everything and done everything, what I do on my end, guys, is I just log into it through my own IP. Okay? With the Callfire phone numbers, I live in Australia. Callfire is not working anymore, guys, very well. It works. It's hit or miss. It's about 50-50 and might even be less than that now that it works. So if you're in the IFTTT SEO Academy, go to the Facebook group, look in the Files section, which there's a tab at the top, and there's a PDF there that Valerie Tobin was so kind to put together that shows how to go out and buy a burner phone from Walmart. Or in your case, in Australia, I'm not sure if you have that ability. You might be able to find something from Amazon that does the same thing, where you can change out the phone numbers. Being in Australia, I can't really help you with that. I know there's a couple other applications that help, like I think burnerapp.com is another one that works for Android and iPhone, and we've had some students say that that works for them. So you can try that. And personally, the method that we use is our Philippines outsourcers buy SIM cards. And that's, you know, and we don't have any problems. We haven't had any problems yet. And knock on wood, let's hope that it stays that way. So, okay, hopefully that was answers your question, Sue. Kendrick says, question regarding best practices for local client who services at customer's location, i.e. roofing, with inconsistent NAP. He started with address A, which was his home, far from the city center, and is showing up on his citations. He then moved to rental home near the city center and changed the address in Google My Business to that address, address B, and got it verified there, address B showing in the Google Plus page. Within the next 12 to 18 months, he plans to buy a new house, so he'll be at address C. Wondering what to recommend to him at this point. Get a business address at a UPS type store. I wouldn't use a UPS type store, but I would certainly register a static business address somewhere, because you will never be able to keep this guy ranked if he keeps changing his addresses. You know, just hang it up, man, and tell him flat out if he wants to rank, he's going to have a static address somewhere, because moving 3 times in 3 years is not. That's no way. I mean, you're going to have a never-ending job, Kendrick, and you'll probably never be successful with that listing. So I don't recommend using UPS type store. I would look for a mom and pop type mailbox store, mailbox service, and rent one there. Or the method that I've been using that works well is to go to the U.S. Post Office and ask to rent a P.O. box, but use the street address. There's a form, an additional form that you have to fill out. Doesn't cost any extra money, but you can do that, and that seems to work well. And it's actually cheaper than using the UPS store. Kendrick, if you're in the MasterClass, this was completely covered in the training. I mean, I walked through a local case study, which, by the way, today I monetized it. Woohoo! Week 12, it's done. I got a contractor in place for that, guys. Those of you that are in the MasterClass, we're going to cover that today. But we did a local case study where we built a site from scratch, and also the maps listing, everything from scratch. And in 12 weeks, now it's monetized. Got a contractor in place. It's ranking. It's producing leads. And we used this P.O. box from the post office for that address. So that's inside the MasterClass and the local case study training if you have that. Okay. But again, I would recommend using a P.O. box or a mom and pop store, not a UPS store. And get a static address, man, because otherwise you're never going to have success with that guy, and it's just going to be a constant nightmare. Inconsistent data, guys, is the worst thing you can do for local. In fact, if you have a local client and they have inconsistent data on the web, don't go build new citations until you clean up the ones that are there. Okay? And the best service that I've ever found for that is Loganix. If you go to Semantic Mastery, this is a cue for you, Adam, semanticmastery.com/Loganix, Loganix, then those guys are awesome. It costs $399, I think, for the citation cleanup service, but it is hands down the most thorough citation cleanup service I've ever seen, and I've been doing this for years. Okay, and I mean they are hands down the best. It's worth every single penny. So let them do all the heavy lifting, and I've never seen anybody be as thorough. I've hired VAs and trained them how to do it manually, and they didn't hold a candle to these guys, Loganix. They've got a system in place that's just amazing. So, okay, Scott Rogers says, I would like to do a video email responses, short and personalized, one-on-one, not a blast. Okay, what is your recommendation to look at? Is there a method to use the Gmail platform but mask the sent from email address to reflect my company and not necessarily Gmail? Scott, I know that you're in like a particular business model. I can tell you from personal experience with when I'm prospecting for clients or for people to buy leads from me, it's better to use a Gmail address, like a personalized Gmail address, like my name at gmail.com, because it gets opened when you market to people, when you send emails to people with a clear business name. A lot of the times those go straight to spam folders, or people will delete them without opening them. Now, I know in your case, Scott, you might want to use your business name, like a webmail account or something. And if that's the case, then yeah, that's fine. I'm just for everyone else's benefit, for finding local clients and prospects and lead buyers and stuff like that, I found much better results by using a personal email. Okay.
Yeah, and Scott, if you do want to go with your business email or whatever it is, there's ways to send through Gmail. It's pretty simple to set up. So.
Just set up an alias.
Yeah.
And it's really simple to do.
It's real simple. Just Google that. Set up an alias in Gmail or something.
Yeah, how to set up just go to YouTube. How to set up an alias in Gmail, and an alias in Gmail, and you'll find, I'm sure, 1,000 tutorial videos on how to do that with your webmail account, to where you can send and receive right through your Gmail account, but it'll look like it's coming from your webmail account, because it actually connects through the SMTP settings anyways. Okay, and so you can do that, number one. Is there a method to use Gmail? Yep, so that's it. Just set up an alias. It's very simple to do. It'll take you 5 minutes to do it. You got to log into cPanel, go to your email account tab in cPanel, and then on the far right next to that email address, you'll see where it says Configure Email Client in a drop-down menu. You click on that, and that'll give you all your SMTP details that you're going to need to add to Google Gmail for because it's going to request that info, and all that info is listed right in cPanel. And that's it, and it'll validate it, and then you're done. So, Jeff says, "Hey Bradley, I've just completed the setup on my Tier 1 and Tier 2 networks. I'm unclear on whether I should be linking Tier 2 to the Blogger, Tumblr, or WordPress sites in Tier 1 via an IFTTT RSS recipe, or straight to the IFTTT blog recipe, i.e. Blogger to Twitter, Blogger to Pocket." No, Jeff, use the RSS2 recipes. If we were, everything you need, Jeff, is in the account workbook template. If you needed to use Blogger 2 or Tumblr 2 or WordPress 2 recipes, they would have been listed in the account workbook template. They're not there for a reason. You want to use the RSS2 recipes, because I've tested this, trust me. There's like funny things happen when you use like the WordPress 2 recipes or the Tumblr 2 recipes. They just don't function properly. So just take the RSS feed from Blogger and use the RSS2 recipe and just set it up. That's why all we list in the account workbook templates, guys, are YouTube 2 recipes and RSS 2 recipes, because that's all you need. Okay?
Yeah, and this is, sorry Bradley, but this is probably a step further. If you want consistency, Jeff, between all of the feeds, you can burn them on FeedBurner, and on FeedBurner you have an option to maximize compatibility. I think it's on the Optimize tab of FeedBurner. You can burn those and use those for your tier network.
Yeah,
I know this is,
but you got to be careful with that, because there's a couple properties, like Evernote is one of them, and Delicious and/or Digo. I can't remember if it's both or just one of them. But a couple of those properties, if you use a FeedBurner feed as your RSS, your trigger, your trigger RSS, then it will show that a title will be something like "could not connect" or something like that. It'll still be the proper link, but the title will always be the same. So you can't use a FeedBurner feed for those. Okay. So you just got to be careful with that. I mean, if you set it up with a FeedBurner feed, just trigger it to run, and then you'll see, if you go look at all your properties, which ones they are. I know Evernote's one of them, and then the other one is either Delicious or Digo, or possibly both. And then so in that case, what I'll do is I'll take like the Blogger RSS or the Tumblr or the WordPress RSS feed from that same network and just set up those properties as tier 2 recipes, if that makes sense. Right. You know, so that it doesn't screw up the title.
So you're daisy chaining properties, basically.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So, because I mean, there's been issues, guys, where WordPress sites, for whatever reason, self-hosted WordPress sites the RSS feed just didn't work, and it's probably a plugin configuration or something like that. But it's happened in the past, and so I've burned a feed burner feed, and lo and behold, it works. But then you have the other issues you've got to. I mean, they're not big issues. You just got to make sure that you swap out the RSS feeds for the properties that the feed burner feed doesn't post correctly. Okay. And again, guys, it's testing. It's just testing. All right, Jamina, I think I'm saying that right, says, hey guys, can you please tell me how you would structure a YouTube silo for local businesses if you owned the YouTube channel? Well, that's a good thing to start with. The channel is for all type of emergency services such as Emergency Vet Spokane, 24-hour Dentist Atlanta, 24-hour air conditioning Florida, Baltimore County Emergency Tree Removal. Also, I'm not sure how to connect IFTTT first and second tiers to the IFTTT I created from my branded YouTube channels. Okay. This is the second part of that question is, you know, man, that's been answered 1,000 times. That should be answered in the IFTTT SEO training already. Check the advanced webinars. We can talk about that very briefly here, but I swear we answer that at least once a week. And I know it's in the training. So,
well, I don't think we'll go over it here. I would just say go back, check the training, because that is discussed explicitly in there.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, please, by all means, you know, come back and say, hey, this wasn't explained. But in the advanced webinars, like Bradley said, it's in there. So.
Yeah, and you know, we've got the tiered network setup links here that we post, I swear, almost every single week inside this Hump Day Hangout. So we'll go ahead and drop them here again. Pause this. Here, Adam, if you can drop this.
Yeah.
On the page, that, and then this one as well. All right, the first part of that question is, well, in that case, you know, I would probably. The thing is you're probably going to have more services per state, right? I mean, my point is, like, you've got 24-hour Dentist Atlanta. Well, chances are you're going to have other 24-hour or emergency services in Atlanta, or at least in Georgia for sure, right? So I would start using geographical playlists. Okay, so in other words, I would probably have like a Georgia, like emergency services in Georgia playlist, for example. And then you could put everything that falls within that state into that playlist, the common theme being that they're all in Georgia. You could go more specific, and let's say that you start off broad like that, and you say Emergency Services Georgia. That's your playlist. And you've got, you know, 5 different videos for 5 different cities within Georgia. And let's say they're all different niches, because if they're all in the same niche, then you could also have a niche playlist, right? Like a 24-hour plumber playlist, right? But if let's say you got 5 different videos in 5 different cities, Atlanta being one of them, and you end up with a second emergency services video in Atlanta for a different industry, but it's still Atlanta being the common theme there. Well, then you can create another playlist for Atlanta emergency services, which is more specific. And then as time goes on and you get more emergency service videos that fall within Atlanta, you can continue to add them into there, right? Because remember, guys, a video can be in more than one playlist. There just should be a common theme among those videos in a particular playlist. If that makes sense. Okay? So that's what I would do. Probably, it seems like you've got stuff spread out all over the place. So I would probably start off with doing state. I would do industry-specific playlists for sure. So if you've got a 24-hour plumber and you've got, you know, 6 videos across 6 different cities across the U.S., I would have a 24-hour emergency plumber playlist, and I would put all of those plumber videos into that particular playlist. Then likewise, I would also have probably state playlists, and then again, once you start building up certain cities that have multiple videos per city, then you can have city playlists as well. Okay? So you just got to think logically, Jamina, about how can you organize that data. That's really what it comes down to, guys. Just think about it logically. How can you organize that data in a logical manner? And just keep in mind that you can have the video in more than one playlist. You're not restricted to just one playlist. You can have it in multiple playlists. As long as it makes sense to be there, there's some sort of relevancy, a common denominator, then it can go in multiple playlists. Okay? Adrian Harper says, just like to say great job with Hump Day Hangouts. I think I might be ODing on them. Loving the IFTTT training too. Just a quick question. I bought the Semantic pinvid theme for my partner site. He's talking about his associated website. Can I use the Network Empire Silo plugin with this theme, or would you suggest doing the silo yourself? No, you can absolutely use that plugin. And thanks to Adam for the quick response and support. Yeah, there's no problem with that. The Network Empire Silo plugin is a great plugin. I use it a lot for complex silo structure. Simple silo structure, you don't need it, but for complex silo structure, it's a great plugin. Absolutely, you can use it. Next question from Adrian. He says, in the IFTTT training masterclass, Bradley mentions a tool called YouTube Xtractor. I think I answered this, but I thought I answered this somewhere. To find the keywords in their competition. He then says in the notes that they no longer recommend this tool and they go for Power Suggest Pro instead. Power Suggest Pro doesn't give keyword competition. I did answer this somewhere. Any help with this would be really appreciated. Is it on the page up here? I don't know. He must have asked it somewhere else too, because I know I specifically answered that. But okay, with the YouTube Xtractor, I think the tool can still be bought, but the problem is the support sucked. It was like support was great at first, but then it like completely stopped. And we had some people in the mastermind buy it and said that they were having issues and they couldn't get anybody to answer the support tickets. That's why I don't endorse it anymore. Okay. Power Suggest Pro is my favorite keyword tool ever, and it's inexpensive and it works really fast. You're right, it doesn't give competition data, but I usually don't care about competition data because, well, I just really don't care about it usually. If it's long tail, which most of the keywords that you're going to pull out of Power Suggest Pro are extremely long tail keywords, it means they have traffic, and most of them are very non-competitive because of the long tail nature of them. So I typically don't sweat that. However, if you are interested in a tool, and Adam, you'll have to dig the link out for that, but there's a tool by Peter Drew called Rank Spy, which is a keyword tool. It's got a monthly expense, but it will do competition data for you, for YouTube competition data as well as Google competition data.
Yeah, it's got some pretty cool features.
It does. It's really cool. You know, I use it. It's got a monthly expense. Just keep that in mind. Power Suggest Pro does not. But if you want to do it manually, then you can just use the search functions within Google themselves, or Google and YouTube. So, for example, if we go over here to YouTube, and we'll do an in title. All you got to do is an in title search operator. Okay, so in title is one word, put a colon, then put your keyword phrase in quotes. So let's say that we're going to say, let's say emergency Dallas, or let's just say commercial roofer Dallas. Commercial roofer Dallas. Put that in quotes. In title, quotes. This is going to show how many results there are for that exact keyword, that exact match keyword. And in this case, there's only one. Okay, so that's a very low competition keyword as far as YouTube competition. Now, if we go over to Google, however, and we type in the same search, so let me just copy that, save some time. If we copy the same search into Google, there's only 23 results. So commercial roofer Dallas is actually a pretty non-competitive keyword for phrase match anyways. If you guys wanted to go with like broad match, now that's going to change the results. Actually, it didn't change. No, it still looks like it's thinking for some reason. I wonder why Google's being slow. 40,000 results. See that? That's broad match, 40,000 results. But if you do in title with quotes, that's going to be phrase match. That means commercial roofer Dallas has to be in the title in that order. I don't know why Google's being slow. That's weird. But it's only got 23 results. See that? So that's the big. You can do it manually. I don't recommend that you do that because you'll spend a ton of your time looking at competition data. I mean, if there's certain keywords, like in this case, I wouldn't have expected that. I would have thought there would have been a hell of a lot more competition for that term. Okay, maybe commercial roofing Dallas has got more. Let's just take a look at it. Now I'm curious. Google's being really slow today. That's strange. 59 results.
Probably has to do with the logo change. SEO is dead.
SEO is dead.
Yeah.
The sky is falling.
Takes up so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
So 59 results for commercial roofing Dallas, guys. But anyways, that's how you do it. I mean, it's very simple. You just do the in title colon and then put your keyword in quotes, okay? And that'll show you what the competition level is. Because Obviously, if there's only a handful of results, you have a significant chance of being the #1 for that term, especially in YouTube. In Google, you're competing with universal results, so there's a lot more other factors that go in there than just all in title. But for YouTube, generally, if there's just a handful of results and you optimize your video properly, you can outrank everyone else. Okay? All right, keep moving. The next one says, if I use a subdomain as the companion website to my branded YouTube account, is it possible to somehow redirect so I can use my root domain URL instead of the subdomain URL? It would surely look a lot better than something.my. It doesn't, or does that even matter? Adrian, don't overcomplicate stuff. It sounds like that's what you're trying to do, and I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying, I know we talk a lot about subdomains, but I swear people get lost in the weeds over this stuff all the time, and it's unnecessary. If you're going to use your root domain, which is fine, just make sure that you set up the canonical inside. I'm assuming you're using WordPress, but even if you're not, you can do it via htaccess. Use the www. Version of your domain. Okay? That's it. If you're going to use your root domain, that's fine. Just use the www. Version of it. If it's in WordPress under Settings General, you can set that. Right where it says your homepage URL and your display URL or whatever. It's right in General Settings at the very top of the screen. You just make sure that it's http://www.yourdomain.com. And when you click Save Changes, if it wasn't already set up that way, it'll ask you to re-sign back in to your WordPress admin. And then from that point forward, your domain will always resolve to the www. Version of it, which in Google's eyes is the same thing as having a site on a subdomain. Okay? So it's a very simple fix.
And I've seen some sites escape from penalizations by, changing .to .1 or
Yep.
.2. You have infinite possibilities if you're using subdomains.
Yeah, but again, yeah, I mean that's true. I mean that's the reason why we use subdomains is to protect your root domain from penalties. Okay, so it's smart to do so, but don't overcomplicate it. If you want to use your root domain instead of a subdomain, like I always use blog dot or news dot or something like, or a city name dot root domain because I do a lot of local stuff, and I don't care about that subdomain showing. But if you do care about it, then just use the www. Version. All of your files and everything will still be hosted on your root domain inside of cPanel. None of that changes. You just set the canonical up to where it always resolves to www. And that's it. It's very simple to do. Okay. By the way, if you already have a website that's ranking, that you built links to and all that without the www. Version, I don't recommend going in and changing it because you can wreak havoc on your rankings, plus at least temporarily. Plus, you'll lose all of any social share counts and everything for all of your pages. All of that it's just going to mess up a bunch of stuff. Only do that for new sites, guys. Don't go in and change it unless you're aware of what, the kind of stuff that, it's going to cause a little bit of a headache if you do that. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Wow, we got a ton of questions, man. We're like almost out of time, so let's try to run through a couple more. Caesar says, if it's not too much to ask, can you give me a benchmark blueprint of the steps you would take if you were launching a brand new contractor lead gen site? Caesar is in the mastermind, right? Didn't he join recently?
Yes, I think he joined the mastermind.
Yeah, because I swear I saw him post in the mastermind. Caesar, forgive me if I'm not remembering correctly, but I think you are in the mastermind. All of everything that you just asked about is in the MasterClass training, right? Yeah. I know you being in the mastermind means you have access to the MasterClass. And we went through a local case study today being week 12, and everything that you want to know how to take a site from brand new to ranking to getting it monetized, and I did it in 12 weeks, and that was like only doing it part-time, is all covered in the masterclass.
Yeah, so if you have any questions about that, just reach out to us in the mastermind. We'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a much more complete answer than anything we could give you right now.
That's right. And again, it's completely covered in there. And just log into the MasterClass members area, and if you look at the lesson notes, like on the main tab, the homepage tab, you'll see where the local SEO case study starts. Just start it that week, and then follow those lessons every week, and you'll have your answer in full in-depth. You'll see me do it live, basically. Okay. The next part of that was, if I'm launching a new lead gen site, should I use EMD or a branded URL? I hear that EMD are not recommended as before, but most of the sites ranking on page 1 for local service businesses are EMDs. Okay, my take on this is do not use EMDs because thinking long term, EMDs are, yes, a lot of them are still ranking, but they also make it much easier to trigger a penalty. Like the threshold for tripping a penalty is a lot lower with EMDs, number one. Number two, they've always been kind of on Google's radar, at least for the last several years, as something that potentially can be targeted at any time. So I recommend that you go with a branded or a partial keyword match domain so that you protect yourself from, one, triggering a penalty, and number two, because long term it would be less targeted in Google's eyes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, basically that way you can build links based on your brand, and you can tell Google what to rank you for with on-site SEO.
Yeah, that's correct. And so, yeah, I know for a lot of local, there's still a lot of EMDs that are ranking, but over time, guys, those at any moment could be whacked by Google. It's happened in the past. Google's done EMD updates before, and it's taken out a lot of sites, and then they've relaxed the rules on it so that some of those sites came back and that sort of thing. But honestly, I don't use EMDs anymore. I just do. I might do partial match where a partial keyword is in the domain, but I try to do everything branded. Okay, and I still don't have any problem ranking stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you could still get a little boost out of an EMD, but I don't recommend it because it could cause problems down the road too. So, Sky says I've been through the IFTTT training and trying to rank a video on Google. It's been a month now and it's not listed in Google. I've tried your suggestion and have done silo structure to the YouTube channel and have added 4 related videos. Still not on Google for contract management software demo. From my research, I'll need the following. If I remember correctly, Sky asked this question last week, and that's when we recommended that they do the silo and add the 4. Do you remember this question, Hernan? I don't know if you remember this, but I remember they asked us about this, and we recommended that you do the YouTube silo method and add some 4 related videos. And if I remember correctly, that was last week. So be patient. That's really what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, for whatever, even IFTTT related, you need to, well, it depends. If you're doing videos and live streaming and whatnot, it can be, instantly if you've done your keyword research right. But if you're building links and social signals and whatnot, the benchmark for anything is like 10 to 15 days, Sky. So
it can be more, and it can be more. Listen, I'm going to finish answering the rest of this question, but there are some keywords that look, we're dealing with an algorithm, so there are anomalies. Okay, algorithmic anomalies, and there are, Terry Kyle calls it a random ranking factor. There are just some keywords that do strange things, and it's difficult to rank for, or they just won't, fall within the typical timelines for stuff. So, for example, let me show you. I did this video. I did this one, and you'll see the date on it. Okay, so if we could bring up SEO Charlottesville, VA, which is a city close to me. It's about an hour away from me. Here's my video on page 1. But I uploaded it, I live streamed it on July 13th. Okay? July 13th. Now, this video just made it to page 1 within the last 7 days. In fact, anybody that's taken our Wirecast webinar, it's a free webinar. If you don't, it's a good reason to drop the link at them. If you guys want to learn how to live stream using Wirecast, the free version, we did a webinar on it. It's an automated webinar, an evergreen webinar, so you can attend it anytime. But this is the video that I did in that webinar, and that was back on July 13th. And although it ranked like on the top of page 2 right after I had live streamed it, over time, within the first 10 days or so, it dropped out. And I mean, it's been like, well, since basically July, the last week in July, that it was just bouncing all over the place, or it wasn't in the top 10 pages, the first 10 pages of Google. It was in YouTube, but it wasn't in Google. It would show up under video search, guys, but it would be like on page 4 in video search. And I wondered what the hell is going on with this, because I rarely have issues like this with videos. But lo and behold, within the last 7 days, it appeared, and it's on page 1. Okay? So what I'm getting at is, from time to time, guys, these things will, just they just won't apply or they won't act to the follow the same rules that we typically see with everything else, and that might be the kind of keyword that you're dealing with.
Yeah, same happens to domains. You can get 5 domains. I know it's algorithmic, so you can get 5 domains going and only one will rank. Applying the same technique. So you need to have that in mind, Sky.
So he says, from my research, I'll need the following: traffic to the video, which helps, absolutely. It's engagement, backlinks, and social signals. Yes. Can I use crowdsearch.me for traffic/social signals? Yes, you can. In fact, if you just go to Google and you type in crowd search me demo, okay? So go to crowd search me demo, or you can go to our YouTube channel and search. But right here, crowd search me demo, you'll see the Hump Day Hangouts logo or icon, whatever, the thumbnail. Click on that. This was an entire Hump Day Hangouts episode number 25 that we did about how to use crowd search to rank videos and also websites. Okay, so there's a full 1-hour webinar on how to use that specifically. And absolutely, I use crowd search for YouTube videos more than I do for websites, to be honest with you. So yes, you can do that. Let's see. I've been pushing traffic via AdWords. That's a good way to do it too. Can I use services like OnlyWire and Social Adder on this money site, or will this get me into trouble? I think you mean Money Channel. Yeah, you can, because it's YouTube. I mean, I'll still bookmark and stuff like that with videos too occasionally. I prefer embeds and social embeds over everything else. I mean, in engagement. Okay, so traffic is number 1, but social embeds works really, really well. What I mean by that is tweets and retweets of the video, because that turns into an embed in Twitter, and also pins and repins and Pinterest. You can do a Tumblr blog post, embed it in a Tumblr blog post, and then get what's called reblogs. Okay, and you can buy Fiverr gigs and stuff like that for that. And embeds are going to help. But again, sometimes, Sky, it just takes time. This one took, the one I was just showing you for Charlottesville, took essentially a month for it to hit page 1. About 5 weeks, to be honest with you. And it really stumped me. But occasionally that happens. So, okay. Let's see. Last part of this, I think this group is great, and assume you get the same questions over and over again. Have you considered adding a tiered mentor program where graduates can answer some of the less technical questions and work with a smaller group? Well, we have our mastermind for that, Sky. So, yeah, we have a mastermind, which is the reason we called it a mastermind is because it's not just us teaching in there all the time. It's all of our mastermind members. It's a group of peers, SEO professionals, and everybody helps each other. So it's not always us answering questions, because there's other people in the mastermind that are well-experienced SEOs that answer questions too. So you should join us. Carrie says, SapeLink trust flow question, and we've only got a couple minutes left, guys. This was a huge webinar. Look at all these questions. Whew, goodness.
Yeah. I think, Marco, did you already answer this one? Is this one we can kind of...
Yeah, I answered him.
Oh, okay. Then I'll keep moving. Thank you.
Yeah, isn't this a RYS question? Am I mistaken? Probably.
An RYS question?
Yeah.
Funny you should mention that.
Hump Day Hangout.
Let's see. Jane says, is there a way to have multiple local listings without having to have fixed addresses for each multiple locations? No. Unfortunately, no. You have to have a separate address for each location, or you won't. I mean, sometimes if you got 2 cities that are like really close to each other, like in the MasterClass, we're dealing with Gainesville, Virginia, and Haymarket, Virginia, and they're 2 separate incorporated cities that are really, really close to each other. And so my maps listing will show up in both Haymarket search results and Gainesville search results, but that's kind of only when there's that specific type of situation. Otherwise, you have to have separate addresses. As trust flow is the metric at the moment, well, topical trust flow, really. Trust flow is definitely probably the second, but topical trust flow is even more important. Can you suggest a way to check the trust flow of multi-domains if you are not using Majestic? No, that's a Majestic metric. So you have to be using Majestic, or you have to use a tool that connects to the Majestic API in order to get that. That is a proprietary metric. So trust flow is going to come from Majestic.
Hey, Bradley, you have some like free trust flow checkers out there, but Majestic updates daily. So a lot of times they're either out of date, or sometimes they also will only measure the root domain instead of getting all the metrics like Majestic will give you. So it's either majestic or you don't get accurate data.
Right. And they're buggy also if you get up.
Guys, Majestic, if you buy it on a quarterly basis, it'll cost you $50 a month. So it's like, you know, it's totally worth it. I mean, if you're doing any SEO work and you're not using Majestic, you're crazy, in my opinion. Because the most important metrics in my are trust flow and topical trust flow. I mean, they're the most, in my opinion, the powerful metrics to be paying attention to and manipulating. Last part of this, I noticed on desktops you can use an overlay for your YouTube vids to link out. Yeah, it's called a external annotation. Is there a way to do this on mobile? Yeah, it's called cards. Okay, to say link to another video. Yeah, you can link to another video. You can link to outside websites. It's called cards. And when you're setting up your YouTube video, there's a tab now in the editing screen, you know, like the info and details screen, and it says cards. And with cards, you can set up just like external annotations, but it'll show on mobile.
All right, so I think we're pretty much out of time here. There was a couple of things I wanted to touch on, though, real quick. If you scroll up to, where is he at? Jordan says, if one, namely me, were to jump into MasterClass, would we be behind or lost? Is there a fresh wave starting? No, you would not be lost. You can always attend the live webinars, and you get several right off the bat and to get you going, and then you start working your way through them. So there's not a bad time to join.
Yeah, there's the first 6 weeks are unlocked when you join. Plus, you have the option to upgrade when you first join to unlock every single lesson immediately for $197. That'll bring you up to our current. We're in week 26 today. Makes week 26. So if you first join, you get the first 6 weeks unlocked, and then it's on a 5-day drip schedule for every lesson thereafter. However, you can attend the weekly webinar on Wednesday, the live webinar every Wednesday, regardless of when you join. So you're not locked out of that. You can join every single Wednesday the live webinar, okay, immediately. If you want to unlock all of the lessons immediately, then it's a $197 upgrade, and that will unlock everything for you. You probably have to submit a support ticket to us, but then we will unlock everything for you. Okay?
And Kendrick, thank you very much for the comments. And just that it's not that we don't want to, or I guess we don't want to go over stuff too many times, mostly just because we don't want to bore people. So we do try to get stuff into our support area so that we can just have kind of a reference to give you guys. And so it's not a problem if you ask it. It's not like we know it's not your fault that you weren't here last week or anything like that. So we're just happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, sorry, but all of our videos, all of our public videos are time-stamped. You know, so you can go to YouTube and look for your answer, or you can go to our YouTube channel and look for your answer there. Being timestamped means that you will get the exact minute where we get that answer for you. Okay, so try different variations, and you will see that they come up on the YouTube query. You know,
when you guys, if you guys have questions specifically, go to our channel, youtube.com/semantic mastery, and you'll see a search bar, a search icon right here on the channel page. You click that and enter your query in. Because if it's in a public video and we've timestamped our videos, so like let's just say you say, I don't know, video SEO, it's probably going to be a bunch of stuff for that. But if you click on that, every one of these videos here have video SEO written in the description. So there, you know what I mean? There's a lot of this one's not very specific, but if you get specific, it'll bring up less results.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, we got to go. MasterClass starts in about 60 seconds, so.
59, 58.
All right, guys. We'll see everybody in MasterClass. Otherwise, Hump Day Hangouts next week. So see you guys. Thanks for being here.
Bye, everybody.